Hey guys, welcome back. I'm finally in 5.0. I've been lazy with updating. I used to do a lot of the beta branches when I'm working, but then I realized that some of the nodes would change and need to be semi-unstable. So I'm excited to see 5.0 and see how it's going. Today we're going to be doing this kind of like simulation tunnel zone thing. I've been playing around with it. I think it's fun to kind of make these kind of like loops, and I've been looking more into making better simulation zones loop. So we're going to talk about that today and kind of the things I've learned as I've been kind of playing around with it. So let's go to geometry nodes, new, cool. And we have these wonderful squares. We're in 5.0, baby. How exciting is that? Okay, so to do a like tunnel effect, it's basically just a couple of simulation zones instancing stuff and like moving things down. So a way to control the instancing, we can use a curved circle to kind of make it easy. Let's just do that. So let's do a curve circle. Okay, that looks nice. Zoom in a little bit, and then let's do a simulation zone. Let's alt click this and pull it up over here. And then on this, we want to change the radius. So we actually can't use this because it will freeze the geometry as the simulation runs in. So we actually need to do this, a join geometry. This is coming in here. Cool, every frame a new one will be made, which is cool. So then let's on this here, let's add a counter. So we're gonna say store named attribute. Let's call it age. Let's also just put this going in here so we have referenced before. Then let's do a named attribute. Let's call it age. This is going in here. Let's add a math node. Let's make it +1. Let's lower this to like 8. So now let's see what happens. We go here, boom, splines are exploding. A new one's happening every frame. Hopefully the age values are looking good. Yep, 19, whatever. Cool. Okay, so the question is, you're like, why are we even doing this? This is such a bizarre thing to be doing in the very beginning, because later on in the next simulation zone, we're gonna wanna do that. But let's just first clean it up. So we're gonna do a delete geometry. You're like, why are we doing this? Why are we having the age values and all this stuff if we're just gonna delete it? Well, you'll see in a second. So let's just grab this. And then actually they don't need to have this. We can just say greater than, everything greater than 1. We're gonna delete. Value of this threshold. I think it's this. Does that work? Now we're down to 2. Actually, it should be greater than, say 0. I only want 1. Okay, very cool. And another simulation zone over here, and this is where the magic can happen. It's coming through, and then let's do a join geometry, and then let's do a set point here and grab it in, and let's transform it. So let's do transform geometry. This, let's just do like -1. Great, it's exploding down. Hooray, hooray, hooray from me. Let's grab another age value here just to make sure it's good. Let's say age 2. And then this one also wants to come here. And we're gonna grab this age 2 in the math node, same thing. Now we have 2 age values populating through. Great. Okay, so why are we doing this? Because now we can change this radius value with a driver and it will then work over time. So let's do a scene time. And I'll show you why. So if we don't have it here, I'll show you back here so it makes sense. So if we do this, and we're going to do, what's it called? It will be frames. And let's just do a modulo. The question is, how often do we want this to repeat? So let's have it be an integer as a value. It's like 40 frames. That's too fast. Because I'm lazy, I like 60 FPS. So maybe we should be 120. So it's every 2 seconds it will repeat. So now it's going from 0 to 120, right? It's going to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, up to 120, right? That's how modulo works. And then what we can do is take this and say divide by the same value. And now we're going from 0 to 1, which is pretty cool. Let's just do that. Cool. You can do a float curve. And now we know this value of 0, 1 is being mapped to this. If we do this, plug it into the radius, and we multiply it by some value, multiply it by like 1. And now let's just see what happens when we run it. Yay! Okay, so it's moving. The small part, when it goes to 0, not really a fan of that. So let's map range this before we multiply it. So let's do a map range. We know it's going from 0 to 1. So like 0.5 to 1. Let's see how that looks now. And then the spikiness of it is from this right here, which we can change to a linear interpolation like this instead. And now it's a bit more smooth. I think that's better, right? If we look in the tunnel, nice. Cool. So you might think, okay, I hear you, but like we don't need to do this if we just pull it in, you know, like here. So let's just grab all of this. Let's just grab it. Boom. Let's cut it and put it here and see what happens. Wow, it's no longer changing and moving. Even if we remove this delete geometry, right? But it's staying exactly the same. So the values are updating, right? On this right here, it's going through taking the scene time frame and it is updating the values, but it's not updating in the actual simulation zone because it's taking that first input geometry and it's kind of like freezing it. So essentially it's not letting it live live. So by doing it this, if I can clear it, which I didn't clear, delete those geometries, we now have it going up and down. It's going, which is cool, which is nice. Okay, so then all the magic for this is gonna happen basically right here, where we just kind of choose how we want it to be displaced and move and kind of change. So let's also have a math node. So let's first do a combine XYZ, plug it in here. Let's do a math node and let's say 2 radians. And then let's put it on like, I guess the Z. Now let's think about this. So if we have 360 and we know we have 120 frames, whoops, 120 frames, we need some sort of multiple of it, right? So if we did 2 degrees, it would rotate perfectly once, but maybe we could do 4, right? Because 4 times, I think any multiple would work essentially. Because I want to make it be 360. So if we did 360, we have 120. What we basically have is we have 120 because that's the number of frames for this loop, right? It's the number of frames for that change is the number of times we can do it. So then the question is, how many times are we wanting this to rotate inside of that? Maybe once a second. So 60 frames is the thing. So then it's going to be 360 into 60, which is then going to be whatever that is, 6 degrees. That's the answer. Let's try 6. So now it should change like twice or something. If I chose the right rotation, is it even? Oh, it is changing just very slow. You can see the spiral from above. Nice. So it's spiraling. Nice. Very cool. So that is that. And then what we can then do is also, let's make it a bit bigger. So 0 to 0.5 to 1, that's fine. Let's just multiply it by 2 and see how that looks. Make this a bit bigger. There we go. This feels a bit better, I think. Nice. So we have this looking cool. And then from here, what we can do is just do some really simple instances on these different shapes to kind of then derive different behavior. So we have this age value going through. Let's also delete some of this geometry. Let's plug it in here and it should be age 2. Let's say 120. Does that work? If we bake the simulation here, maybe it works. Let's find out. Bake animation. Let's go from like 120 to 240. Let's see this look. Yeah, looking like it's looping, which means my math is good. So then what we can do is we can also instance on these points. So we can say instance on points. We could then use an ecosphere or something, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And choose these. And then this scale can be based off of something like this. So it explodes out. But then let's do the map range of it. Well, let's think about this. We have going from now 0 to 120. So the question is for these guys, how do we want it to be actually kind of like making sense? So I guess we know the same thing, so we can then modulo it. We take the age. No, I guess what we could just do is just divide it. So we do a math. We just divide by 120. And now we have it going from 0 to 1, which then again put into a map range. I guess let's then go into float curve. And this would then go into a map range. This goes into the scale. Perfect. In the float curve, we can do something fun like this. So it should, it's like these are just moving through. We're not getting a pulsing or change because every single one is the same age when it's happening. So it's not going to rechange the age. I guess makes sense, right? So what we want is we want this going through, because then the age is going like this, right? It's going from 0 to whatever, 120. With time, basically, I want this to kind of like re-trigger it, like kind of have it pulse down like a size or something. So I guess what it should be, what if I made it not perfectly divisible? What if I did like modulo? Let's do like floored modulo. Let's do like 41, something weird. Then we're dividing by 41. And let's get a value node. So this is always connected. I don't think it will change it. I think it'll just split where it's going. Yeah, so it will just kind of have it repeat a certain number of frames, right? Every 41 frames or whatever. Okay, so what do I want? I want it to go through scene time. So if I have a scene time, then I can have that kind of run through and that will then change. Maybe that's the easiest way, is just scaling it with scene time instead and have it be a different divisible thing. So we don't do this. We do scene time. Put frames in here, and let's say 40, make it nice and clean. Okay, so this is going from 0 to 40, and then it's gonna be divided by 4 or whatever. Okay, cool, so you have to go all the way down to here. Let's just do this, make it really clean. Yes, now it's going. Now it's pulsing how we'd wanna have it to, which is cool. And so then I guess this shouldn't be to 0, it should be like 0.5, and maybe this is 2. And let's remove the bake. Let's go from 0. And I guess if we wanted to have the entire thing spin slowly, we could also do that. So we just do a transformation here, right? Oops, not 54, 5. Is it not rotating? Oh, that one is rotating. Down at the bottom. What if we just did this instead? Up here, and we did this. Now we're getting like a mandala, which is kind of fun. That's changing where it's coming from in the very beginning. Okay, transform geometry, and I guess we can just do the scene time with this. Have it just go over, boop, boop, boo, combine XYZ, plug this in here, plug this in here, and let's just do 60 frames. And then there's no need for this to be, it's gonna just be like over 120, just have it be one rotation. Then we can do a math, multiply by tau. There we go, that works. Okay, and so then we also want to do, I think, the changing of the initial points coming in, which would be right here, based off of something else too. So let's just plug this out. That's the resolution of the overall circle. Whoops, 20, grab, and then we can have a random value. I think we should still do scene time stuff. So I guess we can leave it inside here, I guess. We have this come through. This is the rotation. I should say snap. Increment is 1. And then this value is going from Control-Shift D. It's gonna go from, I guess, let's say 4 to 8, maybe. Let's see how this looks. Will this work? No, I'm not really a fan of this. I think it's too random and it's changing on every frame. So I think no. Answer is no, I don't like that. But instead what we could do is we could add in another one. We could do a join geometry. We could have an extra one, the much larger radius. Let's say times 2 again. Let's have this be like 4. Let's see how this looks. Nice. So we kind of have spiraling stuff. I think linear is not really fun. Let's just do this. Let's just pull it in. Nice. Okay, cool. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna then go over here and then we're gonna change the scaling a tiny bit. We have this 0.3. Let's try to get the other attribute named for these outer kind of rings. Let's do that back here. And let's say store named attribute. Let's call this, I don't know, this doesn't actually matter. This can just be a number, random numbers. Let's say 5, make it 5. It's easy to see. So we just want to have a selection, I think, for us, the whole point. Let's call this small ring versus outer ring, inner ring. Let's make this a different value, 1. And this should go through. Inner ring, outer ring, perfect. It's inside of it. I have some as 0. Why is it zeroed out? Every other, so that's fine, perfect. That means it is actually tagging correctly. Cool, so we have that coming through. Let's bake it. So let's do a animation or a bake node. Animation bake, let's try it 120 to 240. -1. Nice, this is 100% looping. Cool, now we set material for it. So materials, set it, boom, bomb. Hopefully it doesn't crash. And I don't lose all this work I just did. I think it worked, maybe. Let's find out. Nope, I think it might have crashed. We'll see. Potentially had the wonderful Blender crash. Let's see what happens. Nice, so then I threw a material on it. I'm making it pretty straightforward. Basically, I take these attributes I had. So one is gonna be the age value remapped, so we have a nice kind of gradient. And then it's gonna go through a color ramp to kind of crunch those numbers. Then I also have these 2 different kind of like ways to selecting different kind of masks for what I care about for the mesh, because I did that back in the earlier stage. I can then do a mixed color, kind of put it all into the same principled BSDF. I can add in some basic lighting, and then it's gonna be pretty good. So let's just add a light really quick. Let's just do a sun. Do we even want to have a sun? I don't think so. Let's just do here. Let's add a light. Let's delete this light. Let's go to Z. Let's go like this. And then let's also change this really quick to be 1920. Okay, so then we're gonna add some lighting. We're gonna do a light. We're gonna do a point. We're gonna make this very huge, like 2000. Great. We're gonna see how this looks in the camera. V, material preview, rendered point, grab Z, pull it down, Shift D, grab the up. Let's see how this renders. That's too bright, so let's do 1000, pull it to 1000. This one can still be 2000, I think. Maybe 1500. How's that looking now? It's a bit better. And then we're gonna do an area light, area, grab 2000, Shift T, scale. Great. Okay, so now we got the loop and it's working pretty good. Okay, so now that I've kind of gotten everything working how I want it to work, I have a nice loop. I have it kind of lit. Okay, I'm happy enough with the lighting and kind of the material choices. I can just render it out. So that's kind of how it was done. Let's just go over everything. Let's just go over everything one more time, kind of see what I've done for everything. So here's our massive node tree. We're pulling in an age value in the very beginning. We're capturing it and also adding another one. So we have it as an incremental. Inside this, we're basically modifying two things. It's the scene time float curve with two different curved circles. That's going to make the inner and outer rings. That's getting joined together each frame. So then for each one, we're getting all of this, which I probably should not do so I don't ruin the bake. Yay, cool. Okay. So then I'm deleting geometry, so I'm only getting the first one each time, which is good. I'm then doing a new age value, and then this is where I'm doing all of the kind of animation. What we're doing is we're just transforming these curved circles, and we're rotating them and kind of moving them down in a certain direction. So that's why we're able to have this kind of off, like this displacement. So then after that, we're then deleting the points that are greater than 120 frames. So that's why we can have a perfect looping animation after 120 frames. And then all of this is just doing some other kind of instancing. I'm instancing ecospheres. I'm also adding in, after I align to the normal, some other rotation over time, so that it's kind of getting the spinning of all of the ecospheres too. And there's a scale value that's also going through with the scene time, which is happening right there. And then I'm also transforming it. I'm spinning it again just to have another kind of overall spin of everything after it's all been done. I'm setting a material, and the material is looking a bit like this. It's quite straightforward. It's just two different color ramps with a color mix node using the mask we had before. That way we can have a clean mask to see how it actually is supposed to look. And that's going through, and it's a little bump node and some subsurface. It's quite straightforward. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope this kind of demystified simulation zones for you, and hope it kind of gives you a really clean workflow if you want to have looping kind of animations and simulation zones. It was fun to make, and I hope you found it interesting.
Augury.